The problem was that I had talent not only for football, but also my family had a lot of talent to gain weight. I had a serious problem with the back, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, yeah, we need a surgery. So I was really depressed because sports was really important in my life. So and I went to the club, and I had a friend, and I said, okay, Patrick, what is Nec Plus Ultra? What is the toughest race in the world? And then he said, he said, you never heard about Spartathlon? It's a Spartathlon. And I said, okay, then I will train for Spartathlon. Oké. Ja, dus mijn naam is Rudi Vanden Berghe. Ik ben geboren in 1964, dus net geen 56 jaar op dit moment. Ik ben Nederlandstalig, mais éventuellement on peut continuer en français. Je me débrouille aussi en français si tu veux. Mais yeah, in fact we agreed to have this chat in English because in fact the subject for today, it concerns not only the Flemish speaking part of Belgium or the French speaking part of Belgium, but it concerns everyone, in fact. So that's the reason why we will do it in English. So yeah, okay, I went to school, to college, and I followed mathematics, and that yeah, I was 14 years old when I left the college. And yeah, mathematics was really a passion for me. So I was, I think I said I was 14 years old when I left the college. No, I was 17 years old, of course, when I left the college. But at the age of 14, my teacher asked me to give courses of mathematics to the students who had problems, who had difficulties with mathematics. So at the age of 14, I started to give courses of mathematics, and I still do it, and I still do it for free, because it's my passion, really. So yeah, the teacher, when I was 17 years old, he said I should start the studies of civil engineer. So a few years later, I became a civil engineer. And then, of course, I had to do my military service. At that time, we still had to do that. And after my military service, yeah, I had to find a job, of course. And I worked for the university for 6 years, and then my boss asked me to teach several courses at the university, courses of electromagnetism, theory of Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, all the phenomena which we find, the transients which we find in electrical networks, for instance. So there you have to solve Laplace transformations, things I like really much, things like that. And then at a certain age I decided to go to the private sector, because I became too old, I think, to wait any longer. And then in fact my sales career began. So I started selling power supplies, and now 24 years later, I'm still selling power supplies. So then, yeah, regarding my what I do when I have some spare time, let's say, well, of course, I'm always involved with mathematics almost each day, and also a big passion is I always played football. When I was 5 years old, I started playing football already, and now I'm running all the time, let's say. So, like I said, I started playing football when I was 5 years old, and I really like football really much, especially the Premier League in England. And I stopped playing football when I was 37 years old, I think, 36. With a big injury at the back, and yeah, the problem was that I had talent not only for football, but also my family had a lot of talent to gain weight. And after a year, I passed the 100 kilos, And I had a serious problem with the back, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, okay, yeah, we need a surgery, and you can't do any sports in your life again. It's over right now. But I was only 37 years old, let's say. So I was really depressed because sports was really important in my life. So I went for a second opinion to another hospital, and yeah, that doctor, he was really amazed. He said, did my colleague say that? It's very strange because we won't do the surgery, and you need to do sports, just start running. So, and that is the reason why I started running. So I went to a runners club in the neighborhood here. And I met really nice people, but I was a fat boy at that moment. And so I gave myself 1 month to lose 5 kilos. It wasn't that difficult because it was summer, and so I could eat salads and things like that. And then, so I realized that. And then finally, after, let's say, after 6 months, I went from more than 100 kilos to 83 kilos. And so, yeah, I had a target, so I was really, I went for it. And then I'm a person, I always want to pass my limits. And I did so when I played football, and also now I said, okay, let's do what we're going to do. And it seemed that nobody in the club, in the runners club, was able to run the 10 miles within 1 hour, so 16 kilometers and 100 meters. And so I thought by myself, okay, let's do that. So I was training really hard, and yeah, I succeeded to run the 10 miles within 1 hour. And then I said, okay, what next? So I always want to pass my limits. And then, yeah, of course, marathon, everyone knows about marathon, although it's a legend. It's the history of Pheidippides, it concerns not the marathon, but okay, it's a legend. But so I started training for marathon, but at that moment, yeah, something really bad happened in my life. I had a really bad experience. So yeah, and I found that running was a kind of therapy for me. So yeah, after all, I was running weekly a marathon. So I ran 4 marathons a month, 2 official marathons, and 2 marathons just as a training for myself in the weekend. And so slowly but surely, in fact, I became an ultra runner. In fact, yeah. Okay, so I just told you that I was running almost day and night because I had to cope with a bad experience, a really bad experience in my life. And so I ran yeah, 4 marathons a month. And at a certain moment I wanted to pass my limits again. And I went to the club, and I had a friend, and I said, okay, Patrick was his name. I said, what is Nec Plus Ultra? What is the toughest race in the world? And then he said, you never heard about Spartathlon? It's a Spartathlon. And I said, okay, then I will train for Spartathlon. And I said, what is it in fact? Oh, he said, it's the toughest non-stop race in the world. You cannot rest. You only have 36 hours. And yeah, you have to travel from the Acropolis in Athens to the statue of King Leonidas in Sparta, which is 246 kilometers. And it's at the end of September, so temperature is about 35, 36 degrees. Well, at least in 2009 it was like that. Yeah, moreover, you have a lot of denivellation. For instance, so it's all the time it's hilly, but for instance, after 160 kilometers, you have to cross the Sangas mountain, which is 1,200 meters. So it's not concrete, it's rocks, and so it's also rather dangerous. I think I'm a little bit afraid things like that. But okay, and apparently only 350 people are allowed yearly by Spartathlon organizations. So you have to send your file, which consists of all the races you have done, races, no marathons, of course, it's not important for them. But so once the Spartathlon organization has your file, they will select the 350 participants for that year. And so yeah, you start at the Acropolis in Athens at 7 o'clock on Friday in the morning. And yeah, you only get 36 hours to reach Sparta. And yeah, you know from beforehand that statistics say that only 30% of the best of the world who are there, only 30% will reach the statue of Leonidas. And which means that in history, so that the first Spartathlon was in 1983, and meanwhile, so in history, only 45 Belgians ever reached the finish at Sparta King Leonidas. So in fact, there is a certain legend about the marathon, but Pheidippides didn't have anything to do with the marathon. In fact, there was the Persian invasion, and Pheidippides was asked to ask the help of the army of Sparta, of King Leonidas, to help the army of Athens. So he was a good runner, so he was a messenger, and he had to run from Athens to Sparta to ask the help of King Leonidas. And at a certain moment, 1982, I think, John Foden, he has read the documentary, or the book of Herodotus, and Herodotus, he describes the exact way Pheidippides has followed, and then that way was reconstructed, and so all the participants in Sparta, they have to follow the same way Pheidippides has followed in 490 before Christ, and that was the time. So, but it's really tough. I saw, yeah, strong men, also women, of course. It seems they have more talent for it than men, apparently. But I saw strong men crying. Yeah, it's really tough. Okay. So yeah, when I was training for Spartathlon, yeah, it changed my mind, and not only my mind, but also my condition, of course. So it has two advantages, in fact. First of all, yeah, there is the physical subject. So it means your condition gets better and better. I wasn't sick for, I don't know, 15 years or something. I don't have a doctor, in fact, so I never get sick anymore, really. And so it's also, my condition gets better, my health is getting better, but also from a mental point of view, not only it's a kind of therapy, and just like Ronnie O'Sullivan, for instance, for anyone who knows about snooker will know for sure Ronnie O'Sullivan. Also for him, running was a therapy. Yeah, he wrote a very interesting book, and he says running saved my life. So also for me, running was a therapy, but also in business, yeah, your mind is bright, you get new ideas, you are much more focused, so you perform much better also in professional life. And so that's the advantage of the running. There's not only the physical advantage, but also the mental advantage. You get stronger, you have more, your perseverance is much higher, your resistance is much higher, and you can use it, of course, when you're running, but you can also use it in daily life. Yeah. For instance, I know well, it used to be like that. I don't know if it's still like that, but before the Japanese participants to the Spartathlon, their hotel was paid by the government, because it was really important or it is really important in Japan. If you finish Spartathlon, it means that you're really tough and you can reach any targets. I said that in Japan, Spartathlon is very important, but not only in Japan. Not only in Japan. I notice also here in Benelux, I'm working for Benelux region, that it's a door opener. Yeah, people have a lot of respect. You give them some added value. Of course, you need to give them some added value, but they really appreciate. I notice that you're very basic, and they think, okay, this guy, he has a lot of resistance. He knows to reach his targets in Spartathlon, but also business-wise. So I really notice that it's much appreciated by the customers. Of course, you have to give them added value. You cannot visit them and just talk about Spartathlon. No, but if you give them added value and they see, okay, this guy, he knows how to reach his targets, he has a lot of resistance and so on, they really appreciate it. And they also appreciate the fact that you're very basic. I think it's at that moment it's an advantage, because there are a lot of theories which make things very complex. And then you go to the customer and you say, listen, I finished Spartathlon, I give you the added value, I solve your problems, but I'm very basic. And it works. They like it. I just feel it. It's a part of my success, I would say. And it's the same, it's typically the mentality of ultra runner. If you're at the start of an ultra runner, in beginning I was a little bit unsure, of course, but you don't have to be afraid of the guys who have lots of gadgets and nice sunglasses and things like that. You should not be afraid of them. Now I know that you should be afraid of the guy who is really very basic with his clothes and so on, because these are the guys, they may have basic, obviously maybe basic from outside, but they're not at all basic inside. They are really tough. Those are the real competitors. So I just see that if you're a finisher in Spartathlon, it just, some people say it's like winning Olympic medal. I don't know, I never won an Olympic medal, but it helps. And the finishers I know personally, they all say the same. Once you've finished the Spartathlon, your life changes. And you think every day, you think about Spartathlon every day. So it changes your life, yeah. So my first attempt was in 2008, in fact, and yeah, I was really disappointed because I was very well prepared, of course. And yeah, that morning, that Friday morning, I woke up and I felt really sick. And I was not the only one, so probably some people in the hotel, we drank some polluted water or something like that. But anyway, we were very sick. We had to throw over all the time. We had diarrhea, sorry, but it was like that. So honestly, it made no sense to start. In fact, you cannot finish a Spartathlon if you're not in the best condition. But anyway, I was there, I trained so hard, so I wanted to give it a try anyway, also to have the experience for next year. So I started, but I could not eat at all. I think I only ate one banana in 160 kilometers. So I did 160 kilometers. I was still ahead on the schedule, so that was okay. But I was at the Sangas mountain, and I had to cross the Sangas mountain, and I was so sick. So there I had to quit, and yeah, I was really disappointed because you know, yeah, if you know that you gave it a try and you did your very best and you gave everything you had, and you do not succeed, then it's like that. You have to accept. But in this case, I was so well prepared, and I just knew that I didn't have the opportunity to defend my chances, and I knew that I could not say that I would have finished the Spartathlon, but I knew that I could have done better anyway when I was healthy. So I was really disappointed at the moment, and you can give up, of course, but I don't like that really much. So like it's also written in the newspapers, I immediately decided to go back and to try it again in 2009. And then it was really successful attempt in 2009. Yeah. Yeah, I told you before that I'm really basic. So one of the things which helped me really much, it's kind of funny, in fact. I downloaded a picture of the statue of King Leonidas, which is at the finish of Spartathlon, and I put it here at my chest. And during Spartathlon, when I had some difficulties, but also when everything went fine, regularly I just took that picture and I said, King Leonidas, I'm approaching. So it's my basic system of GPS. So, but it works. And I also had a lot of, how should I say, quotes. So I had a very long preparation, and I ran 238 kilometers in England, and lots of 100 kilometers and so on. And I regularly found some quotes along the way. So they are in French, for instance, rien n'est grave puisque tout passe, or in English, today the pain, tomorrow the glory, or in Dutch, de pijn tijdens een wedstrijd, die ben je morgen vergeten, maar de pijn van een opgave vergeet je nooit. So or in Latin even, nulla tenace in via est via. So things like that, and they keep you strong. And I also have one of my tricks, which helps me from a mental point of view. When I start to suffer, I think, okay, now the others are dying. Yeah. It helps. It has some tricks. In fact, I train a lot of people for running, most of them for marathons. So I help them to realize their personal records, and for one reason or another, it's always successful. I think I know how to approach things, and there are a few men I have been training for ultra races, and preparing for a Spartathlon, that is very special, and it's a little bit a funny question, in fact, because it's asking the impossible. But the funny thing is that when I was in 2009 in Spartathlon, I made a great race, and there was a guy. He came to me. He was a taxi driver, and he was a fat boy at that time. And he said to me, listen, do you want to train me for Spartathlon? I also want to finish Spartathlon. And I know that at that moment all the people in the neighborhood, but afterwards also the people in his town, they just laughed with the idea, because it was not possible. He was fat, and but I asked this guy, are you prepared to die? Yes, he said. So that's a good start. And then I asked for his results when he was young, and apparently he was a good runner. So I said, okay, he has the talent, he's gifted, and if we have the right preparation, maybe it's possible. He has to lose a lot of weight, but I did the same. And so that is really an exception. We managed it. So I trained him for for 2 or 3 years, and he realized the Spartathlon, and also he said it changed my life, and all the people they were amazed, because they said, how is it possible? The taxi driver, he ran the Spartathlon, but he was prepared to die. Yeah. So my advice is just be tough for yourself. I read sometimes I read very stupid things on the internet. It's very important that you can distinguish the stupid things from the interesting things. And yeah, some people they give schedules, for instance, where you run at most 14 kilometers, and then afterwards you have to run a marathon. That's insane. That's just insane. And also professional people, they react on it. It's dangerous even. So you have to prepare yourself in a very good way. So slowly but surely, just to avoid injuries, you have to get better slowly but surely, and but be tough for yourself, because sometimes people they say, oh, it's too hot today, I won't go for training today, or I will go later. And then I say, you want to run Marathon Rotterdam? Okay. What will you do if, like 2 or 3 years ago, it's really hot that day? What will you do? You won't go? Or do you think the weather will change for you at that time? No. Also for Spartathlon, when I trained for Spartathlon, I went out when on television they say during summer, listen guys, there is too much ozone in the air, it's really not healthy, stay at home, there is no oxygen in the air, and so on. At that moment I went outside and I trained 35-40 kilometers without water and without protection on the head, because it was tough. And if I could realize it at that moment, then I had maybe a chance during Spartathlon, when I had something on my head to protect myself for the sun, when I had food and water for hydration. So just prepare yourself in the worst conditions, and then make sure you have all the comfort during the race.